Today we're going to talk about grief and spiritual growth. And on top of that, we're going to do our regular guided meditation with the Crystal Fallon, a crystal of the week, a healing with the energy of the goddess. And for those who are listening, someone who would like to raise their hand for a quick free reading, I'd love to give a free reading to someone. Just type your name in the comments and we'll go from there. And I'll try to keep this going here for the next few minutes. We're having a thunderstorm approaching us here in Seattle, Washington today. Not the usual experience for us. So welcome again to Coffee and Cosmos with Robin. My name is Robin Fritz. We're going to talk about grief and spiritual growth. And first, we're going to tap into the Crystal Fallon with a brief guided meditation. And as we do this, I want you to concentrate on whatever grief you may be feeling right now. Hi, Angela. Whatever grief you may be feeling right now, let's support you in your grief and help you keep your energy clear and moving as you go through this process. So if you take your energy and your thoughts, mind, body, and spirit to the top of your head and just breathe that connection, mind, body, and spirit more closely together. And then imagine that we're going to support you in whatever grief you're feeling. Hello, Crystal and Joanne. Thank you. Starting at the top of your head, breathe down your face, down your neck, your shoulders, your heart, your solar plexus, your hips, your knees, and your feet. Top of your head to the bottom of your feet. And as you do that, just imagine the energy clearing out. Linda, good morning, and Geraldine, good morning. Feel the energy clearing out, the blockages getting removed, and your grief being supported. And now if you take your attention to your feet, imagine Fallon as this gold light. Now I know in my camera he appears pretty clear quartz, but he's also citrine. Hello, Rosemary. Citrine, Lemurian quartz, so there's a faint yellow cast to him. Imagine a gold light rotating at your feet, and as it moves up outside your body, it's just adding this beautiful, loving energy, this healing warmth, going straight to your heart chakra, and then just with every beat of your heart, filling your heart with love, with warmth, and with support for any grief that you may be suffering. So starting at the bottom of your feet, allow that light to move up to your knees, to your hips, your solar plexus, your loving heart, your shoulders, your throat chakra, your face, your third eye, and your crown chakra, which tends to be, as I've said before, wide open when you're working with Fallon. So just know that his energy will be with you today. So again, thank you for joining me. If anyone would like a free reading, please type in your name. And as soon as I call a name that I can see here on my screen, that'll be it for today. And we'll get to that shortly. But for those who would also like a reading, please email me at my website at robinfritz.com, ROBYNFRITZ.com. And I'm happy to take questions and calls. Rosemary. So Rosemary, you're the first name that I saw. Rosemary, you're going to have to come back with your question and let me know. For the rest of you who volunteered, thank you so much. Email me at my website or call into my radio show Mondays at 2 Pacific time at ohmtimes.com radio, the practical, intuitive mind, body, spirit for the real world. We'll take your question live on air, and if you're shy, email it to me, and I'd be happy to cover it there too. And Rosemary, I need to see your question again. I missed it. But let's go on and talk about grief and grief support and spiritual growth. And everyone who has lost a beloved, human or animal, and today we'll talk about humans and animals as opposed to other things which are also horrible to lose, like our homes or our livelihoods. And grief is part of that process as well. But for anyone who has lost a human or an animal, you will know what I mean when I say Love is not for the faint of heart. Love is not for the faint of heart, but know this, anyone who is grieving, you are the most beautiful, most cherished, most awesome people on the planet, because you're taking your lives seriously, and not just your lives, your bodily lives, but your soul growth, because we come here to love and to be loved, and loss is usually part of that. Now, when we lose humans, it's tough. It's tough to lose anyone, humans or animals. And we don't expect you to lose our humans. We do at some point. But when you love an animal, it's not if they die, but when they die. And yet we keep going back and doing it all over again. And I know for me personally, in the last few years, losing a beloved dog and then a beloved cat, and I was like, oh my God, I'm getting another dog and another cat. How can I do this to myself again? And yet we do, because we love and we want to be loved. Rosemary, thank you. Is still with, okay, with this website, I can't read the whole question. I'll have to figure out how to do that, but I'm using a special service here. You want to know if your mom is still with you? Has she passed? Is that it? Can you, let me see what that is. If she's still with you. I just can't see all of the questions here. So a quick one, Rosemary, has your mom passed? Is that what you want to know? If she's still with you? Type a yes or type an explanation, because I can't read your question. I have to work on that and see how the service can help me with that. You want to know your mother's passed, and you want to know if she's still with you. Excellent question. And I can tell you, your mom had a sense of humor. She's saying, well, of course I'm still with her, but there's an awful lot to do over here. So, Geraldine, please send me that email on your question, and we'll deal with those emails on the upcoming radio show. Every Monday I'm on the radio, and I love questions for the radio. And so, Rosemary, this was a perfect question for here, and let me address that. We come here to love and to be loved, and love is the essential experience that grows our souls, and that's why we're here in bodies, to grow our souls. That's why we come every lifetime, and that's why we come here every lifetime and take a body and different kinds of bodies and so on, and that's just the constant means of growing our soul. The problem is, of course, when we lose someone and we want to know, like, where are they, where have they gone, or what's happened. And so let's look first at the loss process. When we lose someone, those of us, for example, who lose animals, we know that we love our animals as much as we love humans, because we're not looking, and of course we do love the bodies, but we're not looking for, Lauren, thank you for your comment. You know, you can tell her yourself, and that's what I'm going to be talking about on my webinar on Thursday. So I'd like all of you who are grieving to join me on my Learn It Like webinar on Thursday. But we know, those of us who've lost animals, that we love them just as much as we love humans, because we love the soul. The body that they're in is just something else that we love, and the personality as well. So there's a writer, Pete Dexter. He's a wonderful writer. And he was getting ready to say goodbye to his beloved dog. And he said, all there is to say about the next 10 minutes, if there is something more to the story than the end of a dog, it's that what you do when there's nothing you can do can matter for a very long time. What you do when there's nothing you can do can matter for a very long time. So here's the thing. Beautiful words, poignant, and still brings tears to my eyes. 2 years after I read them first time. Be thoughtful as your loved ones are dying. and after they die. If you have time and it doesn't just drop on you. You know, she knows that, Rosemary, and I want to say that to all of you, that they know that you love them. And here's what you can say. When they're dying, as they're dying, prepare yourself and prepare them as much as you can. And if you have time, you know, and it doesn't just drop on you as it suddenly does. And I said this to family members when my mom was dying, you need to do whatever you need to do right now so that you can live with it later. But here's the thing, you can also tell them after they die. So all of you who are wondering about your grandmothers, your mothers, your mother, is she still there? Yes, they're still there. They are still there in the afterlife. Sometimes if somebody asks, have they reincarnated or not? Sometimes they do reincarnate. My mom reincarnated. My dad did not. He runs what I call a way station for dead things on the other side, which shows my sense of humor, but also what I know about the afterlife is working as a medium. But even though my mom has reincarnated, that soul piece that was my mom still resides in the afterlife. So I can still go and talk to her. And it's usually, hey, your brother-in-law just died. Get over there to Dad's way station and greet him, kind of thing. So for those of you wondering if they've reincarnated, they may have, but the thing of it is you can still talk to that piece of them in the afterlife. I know that's kind of surprising, but you can. So here's a tip, and I'm going to offer a lot of tips on my webinar on Thursday called Resolve Grief and Connect with Your Dead. I invite you all to join with me. It's $15 at the Learn It Live platform, but I'm going to give you tips. Anita, actually, no, but you can send me a question. Email that question to me at my website, robinfritz.com, for Monday, or call into my radio show. I'm going to offer lots of tips and rituals. You do, and that's perfect, Rosemary. And tell her you love her and miss her, and also urge them to go to their afterlife. And so here's a tip for this week that I want you to pick up on. And even if you've already had a funeral, you might want to go and do it again. So the thing of it is, throw them a spectacular funeral, even if it's just you in your house all by yourself or with your other animals, as several of my animal family funerals have been. But hi from Sweden, yes. Do our loved ones see personal or negative? I'm assuming that's thoughts. And I apologize for this forum. It only shows partial questions. I'm going to have to ask them how to look at questions because I can't really read down the page here. Oh, well, I'm sorry. Email me about that. Linda, please email me at my website and we can talk on my radio show on Monday. I'm friendly and I don't bite, but you can also email me that question at my website. So throwing them a spectacular funeral. I know as a medium that funerals are important, not just to the living, but to the dead as well. They do come back for their funerals. They do come back. They keep tabs on who's coming. I know I shared that story yesterday of a grandmother who kept tabs on all the people who showed up at her funeral. Like, did the neighbors show up? It was like, okay, come on, let's get serious here. But they don't always want to be serious. They're having a good time. Linda Marie, I'd love it if you'd email me a question. So funerals allow us to grieve publicly. Thank you, Sabrina, for your question. They allow us to acknowledge the death. They allow us to bring community together to celebrate their lives. And they're also a start to our new lives, our living on without them, and they're moving on to the afterlife without us. So they give us a chance to say goodbye formally. And that's a really, really important point, as well as thinking about the role of death in our lives, because for most of us, we're going to experience the death of a loved one. I experienced my first death when I was 9. My 14-year-old brother died of leukemia. And I was not prepared for it at all. I was literally told after he died. And, You should feel awesome, Rosemary, because you're a beautiful person. You are accepting grief as a normal process in your life. And are our loved ones always with us? No, they are not. They're off having Mai Tais in Hawaii. They're off traveling the universe. They're reviewing their lives and thinking about what they did or didn't do and what they wanted to do, what their soul wanted to do, and did they do that? And they're looking at what they're going to do next, whether it's to reincarnate in a different body or to stay in the afterlife for a period of time. Do they come back and visit us? Of course. And in my webinar on Thursday, I'm going to give you tips on how to connect with them based on how your intuition works. But here's the thing. Rituals like funerals are a way for us to wrap up events. And so they allow you to hold your beloved in your heart as this one final goodbye, honoring their role in your lives and your role in theirs as well. And that's what grief is all about, just working through the process of letting go on both sides, because they're grieving the loss of you as well. And once we're gone, we're moving on different paths, like it or not. But the one thing that does carry you through, it carries us all through, is love. Love for our loved ones, love for ourselves, and love of life in the process of growth and renewal that we witness annually, right, in the change of seasons, but certainly in our lives as things happen. You know, she's pretty much happy hanging out where she is. And of course, Rosemary asked a question, does her mom visit her dad and visit her? Yes, our dead also, I sure wish I could read these whole questions. Amy, thanks for sharing that. Yes, they do come back and visit us in dreams. I remember one time telling some clients that their dead was saying, oh, if you see a white feather, you know, that's the classic thing for mediumship. Oh, a white feather falls out of the sky. I felt like an idiot for saying it, yet that's what the dead person was saying. And they were sitting there, you know, one of them was rolling her eyes and the other two were like, oh my God, what am I doing here with this person? Well, I get an email later that they no sooner walked out the door than a white feather fell out of the sky at their feet. So there you go. They're giving us signs at times. They do check in on us. They're also out busy leading their new lives and moving on in their lives and urging us to move on too, to hold them close in our hearts and recognize that the love we shared with them never, ever goes away. Sabrina, thank you. And all I can see is I know that my aunt. So I hope that means you know that your aunt is there and checks in with you on a regular basis. And they do. So here, let's do a ritual on Thursday at my webinar, teaching you some ideas of rituals, all of which you can take and adapt to what suits you. But a ritual, a funeral, even if you go and have another funeral now, if you've already had one, allows you to acknowledge that something has occurred and to honor it and to incorporate it in your daily life. And those are important rituals for us to heal our grief. But don't let people tell you how to do grief, because only you know how to do grief. Grief is good. It reminds us that we love and we're loved, but it also gives us the strength to move on and to incorporate that grief as a growth process for health, for ourselves. Are relatives with us during surgeries and so on, like Rosemary suggested, asked? Yes, they are there with us. And you need to call them and ask them to be there. Can you be there with me during this surgery? Because your spiritual team, too, will be there for you during a surgery or during any life event. You just simply have to ask for them to be there. But we're going to cover a lot more in the webinar on Thursday. But here's a few final tips. Claim your power in your grief. Only you know when it's time to let grief not be the uppermost thing in your life, but simply a part of your life and a part of your experience. Don't be afraid to grieve. Don't be afraid to grieve a lost human or a lost animal. I know there are people that don't understand the loss of animals. That's their problem. It's not yours. Don't apologize for grieving. Grieving is necessary and it's an important life. important part of your life. Ask her to contact you, Anna. And we're going to talk about this on my webinar, because if you're waiting for a loved one to call you up and talk to you, and your intuition runs more towards feelings, you're going to be waiting longer than you should. So you might want to tap into them based on how your intuition works. And we're going to talk more about that on Thursday too. So I hope you all join me on that webinar on Thursday. So let's move on quickly to the crystal of the week. And I chose Quantum Quattro. I know it sounds real kind of a space agey thing, but Quantum Quattro is made up of 4 crystals, several of which I cannot pronounce, because who can pronounce these names most of the time? Anna, you are so welcome, and thank you so much for being here today. Quantum Quattro is made up of 4 crystals. It's good for your immune system, okay, and your energy field, which we always need to pay attention to that. It's good to protect your psychic vision. It's good to offer balance. But the reason I'm including it today is that it's a great crystal to support you in your grief, okay? It helps you deal with grief in this life or the grief from past lives. And sometimes, and very often in my clients who are doing past life regressions or soul progression healings, Anita, you as well, is that they are also tapping into feelings of great joy as well as great sorrow that they experienced in previous lifetimes. And Quantum Quattro, but I can't even say those 2 words, will support you in dealing with the grief here or from previous lifetimes. So that would be one that I would track down. I'm going to track it down myself, because I don't have one. So find a good crystal supplier. I'm working on connecting with a few for my radio show, but check the energy of a crystal and find one that works for you. So moving on quickly, let me tell you about my upcoming webinars at the Om Times Experts panel, the Learn It Live platform. It's experts.omtimes.com/Robin Fritz, ROBYNFRITZ. And again, this Thursday, September 21st at 11 Pacific time. I saw someone pop in from Wales, which is a place dear to my heart. I want to go back there. I think it's evening in Great Britain right now. Please join me Thursday live at 11 Pacific time for how to resolve grief and connect with your dead. Now, lots of tips there. Lots of the questions that came up here, I'm going to try to scroll through later and write them down. Oh, why do you feel so lost? Or why do other people feel lost? Or we do feel lost when we suffer grief and when we lose someone, because that's an essential point of our life, is sharing with them. My dad was my best friend, and the day I buried him was the saddest day of my life. Why do you feel so lost? Again, it was the saddest day of my life. And, you know, it strikes me when I lost my mom and I was closer to my dad. I lost my mom 10 months later. The timing, of course, was horrible, losing them both within a year. But there's something about our moms, even if you've been adopted, okay? The idea of a mom, of they're literally carrying you in their body or carrying you in their heart if you've been adopted. There's something about the mom energy that's devastating when that body is gone. And the easiest way I can explain it is they're the moms. They're the ones who bring life into the world. Even if you're adopted, they brought your life here into the world. So I think that's why we feel most devastated when our moms are gone. In my case, I wasn't with my mom, and that made it harder for me. But join me in the webinar on Thursday. I have some special bonuses for people joining live. Go to the experts.omtimes.com/Robin Fritz to sign up. In October, I have a free webinar on October 5th on the truth of Atlantis and Lemuria. It's called Claiming Home, from Lemuria to Atlantis. October 11th at noon Pacific time, Animals, the Afterlife, and Reincarnation. Tell you about that. October 12th, Working and Healing with Crystals. get a quartz crystal if you can, even a little tiny point, and join me on October 12th at 11 Pacific time. And we will really have a great time talking about working and healing with crystals. And finally, on October 19th, clearing ourselves and clearing our spaces. So take a look at those. Join me for those if you can. I'd really appreciate it. Rosemary, thank you so much for raising your hand and volunteering. And your mom is so sweet, and she has such a great sense of humor. And just reach out with your heart and just embrace her and embrace all of us who have lost and are loving again. You know, it's hard. It is hard. But remember again, love is not for the faint of heart. And those who have lost are learning what it is to grow our souls. Grief is one of the toughest things, and it can be grief from anything. Grief from physical ailments, grief from losing loved ones. Hang in there. This is a community that supports you, that is there for you. And you know that. That's why you tune in every week. So if you would like to email me for sessions, please email me at my website, robinfritz.com. That's robin@robinfritz.com. I do personal and business readings, animal communication, mediumship, space clearing, past life and between life regression, soul journeys, spirit guides, soul retrievals, energy healing, whatever it is that you need. I have a wide range of services, and I would be delighted and honored to help you. Also, call into my radio show Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific. Email me your questions, call into the show, and let's talk about some insight into your issues. And I'd be honored and thrilled to do that with you. And if you enjoy these broadcasts, please go to my Facebook business page, The Practical Intuitive, Robin M. Fritz, and like that page. And you're welcome to send me friend requests and to join me at noon today, where I talk about how energy makes you fat, which is true. That happens. And so let's end today with an energy healing with the goddess. And let's look at healing your grief. And that doesn't mean you have to get rid of your grief. It means it's just helping support you through your grief and allowing it to keep moving. Is when grief or anything gets stuck in us, we can't get past it or really appreciate its role in our life of helping us to grow in love. So cross your hands on your heart. Breathe into the palms of your hands. Just breathe in love and energy and peace and acceptance of your grief. Blow into the palms of your hands. And then let that energy just go out to the world, wherever it needs to go. But today it really feels like the energy is going to support those who are grieving, especially those who have joined me live here today. And then cross your hands on your heart again. Breathe into the palms of your hand. Breathe in the love of your lost loved ones. Breathe in love for yourself. Acceptance of your grief. Breathe into the palms of your hands. Feel that air, that breath on your palms. And cross your palms back again on your heart. This will ground you back into your body, help close out the session, and help close out your crown chakra, close it down again so that you can go about your day filled with this healthy energy from Fallon and from the love of the community that's joined us today. If you feel a little bit dizzy, just drink a glass of water and that will clear you out. So thank you for joining me today. Those of you who want to learn about how energy makes us fat, please join me at my Facebook business page, The Practical Intuitive Robin M. Fritz, in a half an hour. So thank you again for joining me. I'll see you at my webinar on Thursday. Please email me if you have questions about it. I'd be delighted to answer them. Thank you so much. Take care.